So this is what you meant when you said that you were spent. And now it's time to build from the bottom of the pit right to the top. Don't hold back. Packing my bags and giving the academy a rain check. I don't ever wanna let you down. I don't ever wanna leave this town. 'Cause after all, this city never sleeps alone. Time to begin, isn't it? I get a little bit bigger, but then I'll admit I'm just the same as I was. Now don't you understand that I'm never changing who I am?
尊敬的各位嘉宾和今天能来参加论坛的朋友们，大家好，我是约翰霍普金斯大学中美创新峰会联席理事长苏毅，非常开心今天能在第一场分论坛上与大家相见。首先，请允许我代表约翰霍普金斯大学中美创新峰会感谢大家的到来。约翰霍普金斯大学始建于1876年。是美国第一所研究型大学，我校以顶级的医学院、公共卫生学院、国际关系学院等享誉全球，并在2021年美国新闻与世界报道 US News 的大学排行榜中排列全美大学第9位。本校的公共卫生学院一直被评为全美的第一学院，也连续21年被评为全美最佳医院。本校科研成果显著，曾孕育39名诺贝尔奖获得者，同时尼采高级国际研究学院也曾培养威尔逊总统、前中国驻美大使崔天凯等多国政要。约翰霍普金斯中美创新峰会始于2017年，旨在推行健康、创变未来3个核心理念。高度全球化使今日的世界充满了机遇和可能性，却也同时给传统产业带来了无限挑战。中美创新峰会的立足与全球医疗健康和科技创变，聚集各行业最顶尖的专家，探讨各领域最前沿的话题，做未来时代的领跑者。本届中美创新峰会聚焦当下热点趋势，并通过主题演讲和分论坛形式展开相关讨论。中医药现代化交融，分论坛将集中关注中医药现代化交融、AI 大数据与新冠疫情、创新投资、轻医美和基因研发5个模块，以互动探讨的形式，邀请各行业专家与学者展开对话，发表对在当下全球健康危机、新科技崛起的趋势中与其行业前景和见解。中医是中华民族的国粹，而西医也是西方世界无数前辈们积累的经验。中医和西医如何在21世纪的现代融合，是多年来一直被学术界和大众所探讨的话题。此次新冠疫情期间，我们也感受到了中西医的碰撞。今天我们非常荣幸与 JHU 亚洲医学社一起，邀请到了中西医界非常知名的几位专家和学者，与我们共同探讨中西医现代化融合。接下来，让我们把场地交给大家。
Thank you, Jojo. Can everyone see my shared slide?
Yes.
Greetings. Welcome to our panel, Integrative Future Medicine East and West. We are the first warm-up panel for the Johns Hopkins University China-U.S. Innovation Summit. My name is Wendy Wu, a rising junior at Hopkins majoring in biomedical engineering. I am the current president of Hopkins Asian Medicine Student Club. Today, Kelly and I will be the moderator for this panel. This panel will be in English. Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Wendy. Hi, everyone. My name's Kelly Xie, and I am a rising junior at Hopkins majoring in molecular biology and public health. And I am the vice president of Hopkins Asian Medicine Student Club. I'm very glad to be here today and co-moderating the panel with Wendy. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Kelly. Today is our honor to have 4 experts in integrative medicine to share their perspectives and one special guest who couldn't attend and made a short video for us. We're going to discuss the development and future of traditional Chinese medicine and its integration with mainstream Western medicine. First of all, thank you for all joining us, and we will try our best to present you with a wonderful 2-hour academic journey. Let's meet our guest speakers. Let's first welcome Dr. Li Zhi. She is the academic heir to Dr. Shi Xiaomo, an established physician practicing integrated medicine. She is also the academic advisor of the International Department of the Chinese Society of Chinese Medicine. She has appeared as Chinese medicine specialist in various television programs, including Yang Shen Tang, Jian Kang Zhi Lu. She was the Chinese medicine specialist to the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games for promoting Chinese medicine culture and has spread Chinese medicine gist to countries across the globe. She was praised as the ambassador of Chinese medicine to the world for her efforts to successfully elicit attention to this traditional practice. Let's welcome Dr. Li Zhi.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad to stand here to give the presentations about the traditional Chinese medicines to everyone. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Let's welcome our second guest lecturer, Dr. Wang Xiuqing. She is the chief traditional Chinese physician at Jiangsu Province Hospital and the director of its International Cooperation Office. She is good at treating digestive system diseases, gastrointestinal tumors, insomnia, and common clinical diseases. She is also committed to promoting the international construction of clinical research platforms and the development of integrated Chinese and Western medicine clinical research. Let's welcome Dr. Wang Xiuqing. Dr. Wang, you can unmute yourself and then speak.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the chairperson to the introduction, and it's very honorable to join this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's now meet our third guest speaker. Wendy, could you change the slide? Okay, so let's now meet our third guest speaker, Dr. Xu Mingguo. He is a chief physician and was a postdoc at the Johns Hopkins Hospital. He is also the vice president of Shenzhen Longgang District Maternal and Child Health Hospital and the youth committee of cardiovascular group at the Chinese Pediatric Society of Chinese Medical Association. He specializes in echocardiogram testing, interventional therapy of congenital heart disease, and the treatment of Kawasaki disease. He has accumulated rich clinical experience in diagnosing and treating congenital heart disease in children, hypertension, arrhythmia, heart failure, myocarditis, congenital heart disease, and coronary artery disease caused by Kawasaki disease. He has conducted thousands of independent and pioneering experiments and is familiar with bioinformatics and big data processing. He's also active at the front line of clinical research. He applies Chinese medicine berberine in the treatment of coronary artery disease in Kawasaki disease and has a unique experience and insights on the integration of the clinical practice of Chinese and Western medicine. Dr. Xu, would you like to say hi to our audience?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the introduction from Kelly. Nice to meet you, everyone. I'm our pediatrics. So I want to talk something about the Chinese herbs used in pediatrics. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Xu, and welcome. And move on. So last but not least, let's welcome our fourth guest speaker, Dr. James Flowers. Dr. Flowers is the director of the International Association of Oriental Medicine. He is currently a Brain Pool Program Research Fellow at Kyunghee University in South Korea. He completed his doctoral degree of medical history at Johns Hopkins Hospital School of Medicine and trained as a postdoc there. He is also the former chairman of Australian Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine Association. As a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, Dr. Flowers have been trained, visited, and worked in many countries, pushing the education and development of traditional Chinese medicine in different cultural backgrounds. Apart from receiving his PhD degree and postdoc training at Hopkins, he also taught the famous and popular writing course, Medicine East and West, which both me and Wendy have taken. We love the class. Dr. Flowers has brought fresh and valuable ideas to the Hopkins community and has been continuing to introduce future medical professionals in Western countries to the charming history and future possibilities of integrated medicine. His academic discussion group later developed into the club that Wendy and I are in charge of, which is the Hopkins Asian Medicine Student Club. Would you like to say hi to our audience, Dr. Flowers? Oh, is he still here? I don't know why, but I can hear you.
I see that you unmuted Dr. Flowers, but we can't hear you.
Yeah.
So Jojo, are you still there? Could you solve this problem? Okay, so
It might not be the side on our side. So maybe Dr. Flower, can you perhaps mute and unmute again or try to rejoin?
cool. I see Dr. Flowers exit and then rejoin. We can just proceed with our schedule and we will go back to Dr. Flowers again afterwards.
Yeah.
So this is our agenda today. We will first have a 5-minute talks from each speaker and then roundtable discussion and audience Q&A. If you have any questions for any speaker, please click the Q&A button and type your question. We will be discussing all the questions during the final Q&A session. So let's go into the guest lectures part first. So I see Dr. Flowers come back. Could you say a few words to see? So we still can hear you. Is it possible it is because of the earphones?
About now?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the earphones. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was talking a lot before that I couldn't understand why you're not answering me.
Oh,
So is it better now?
yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear
Okay,
you.
good. Okay, thanks for the introduction. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Wendy. And yeah, all credit to you guys for setting this up. And I'm very happy. And hello to my fellow panelists and hello to the audience out there who I can't see right now. But anyway, I hope you're out there. Hi to
Yeah,
everyone.
they're there. Okay, welcome, Dr. Flowers.
All right, thank you.
Okay, cool. So let's go into the guest lectures part. So the first is, I've mentioned before, we will be having a special guest speaker today that couldn't attend, but made us a short video. So let's first watch this short video. This is from Dr. Chen Kai. He is the fourth-generation representative inheritor of National Intangible Cultural Heritage Protective Project Chen's acupuncture moxibustion. Succeeding the Chinese Academy of Engineering academician Chen Xingnong, Dr. Chen Kai carries on the spirit of publicizing acupuncture and moxibustion through leading multiple research topics, taking charge of the experimental program of national virtual reality education, representatively visiting numerous Western countries, and participating in well-known television programs about Chinese medicine wellness practices. The Chen's Sancai needling technique has significant curative effects in emotional disorders, metabolism disorders, digestive system diseases, and reproductive system diseases. He's not able to join us today because of time conflict. So let's first watch his video and get to know some basics of traditional Chinese medicine. Okay.
霍普金斯大学的同学们，你们好，我是北京中医药大学程凯，是一名针灸老师，也是一名针灸医生。今天呢，很高兴跟大家在一起来分享一些关于针灸的知识和话题。但是也很抱歉，因为我教学的时间的原因，跟我们这次大会有所冲突，所以呢，我就通过这种视频的方式分享给大家我的一点感受。针灸啊，现在已经成为世界上很多国家开始使用的治疗方法。我们到现在为止，有183个国家和地区在使用针灸，有很多国家呢也进入到立法的保护当中。在2010年的11月16号，中医针灸被联合国教科文组织收录进入人类共享的非物质文化遗产保护名录当中。大家可以看到，在我右侧的这尊铜人，这是一个古代铜人的复制品。在2017年的时候，中国的国家主席习近平向世界卫生组织赠送国礼，就是这尊铜人啊。当时呢是一尊1.7米高的铜人仿制品，这尊铜人呢就是那尊铜人的缩小版。这是中国古代的一个教学用具，在这尊铜人上面有经络走行的路线和身体当中主要的穴位标注。那么什么是身体当中的经络呢？很多朋友会说，这个东西看不见摸不着，真是很神奇。其实啊，它也很朴素。我们知道，如果你想学习一个医学，你首先要做到的一件事情，要学习的一门知识，就是对一个人体要进行标注。我们得对它人体的结构，对它人体的组织要有清晰的认识，大家有一个共同的语言模式。那么我们的经络就是古代对人体进行体表和体内各种器官解剖部位进行标注的一种语言方式。它和我们现在的解剖学是非常的类似，只不过用了另外的一种语言而已。同时啊，这种语言还具备它的独特性。我们知道，现在的解剖是把我们的身体划分为9大系统，比如说我们有肌肉系统，我们有神经系统，我们有循环系统，我们有呼吸系统等等。但是我们的经络学说当中是把人体划分为12个系统。哪12个系统呢？我们首先分为手和足，也就是上肢和下肢，然后再分成内与外，也就是内侧和外侧。这样人体就被划分为手的阴经和阳经啊，阴呢就代表内，阳呢就代表外，又分成足的阴经和足的阳经。在此基础上，再引入当时在古代那个时期2500年之前的时候，当时非常流行的一种语言标注符号。现在我们说是1、2、3，那在古代的时候就是什么太阴、厥阴、少阴，也就是按照阴阳来进行划分。 按照3阴3阳来划分人体的经脉，来命名人体的经脉。这个时候，我们的身体啊就被划分为手3阴经、手3阳经、足3阴经、足3阳经。这些经脉走行的部位主要是在人体的四肢。当它走行到人体的躯干部位的时候，分别和人体的头部、胸部、上腹部、下腹部相互联系，不仅联系到这些部位的外周，而且还要联系到这些躯干部位的里边，也就是深入到身体之内，和我们身体的脏腑相互联系，由此构建出来人体的内在的脏腑和我们的外部肢体之间的对应关系。而且古人在这个过程当中还发现了很多特异性的生理现象。因此我们说这种经络系统不仅仅是一种解剖语言，而且呢是带有生理学信息的活体的解剖学，我们称之为叫生理解剖学。古人建立起这样一个特殊的认知人体的模型，它的目的是什么呢？因为我们知道在古代的时候，我们没有现代科技手段，我们无法去认知人体的内在的结构特征，特别是一些微观的特征。即使是我们可以把人解剖来看，但是这就是死体而不是活体，活的生命信息了。我们的古人特别注重于活的生命现象，因此呢，我们就创造性的去发现，在人体的四肢部位、肢体的末端，特别是以腕关节、踝关节为主的这些比较表浅的部分，肌肉啊比较少，在此呢，血管走行比较浅，我们可以通过触摸这个位置的血管搏动的情况，探查肌肉张力的变化的情况，甚至我们肉眼可见的皮肤表面微循环的表现，我们通过这样的一些表现来推测内脏功能的变化，推测人的大脑功能的变化，这样就建立起来一个内与外之间沟通的桥梁，也变成一个网络周身的系统。基于这样内外相连的经络模型，我们可以实现在人体的肢端进行诊断，同时在人体的肢端进行治疗和干预，调整人体脏腑的功能。于是针灸就变成一种独立于现代医学体系之外的一个完整的认知体系。通过这样一个认知体系，我们可以诊疗一体化，这样的一种思维方式也实现了我们人体的整体观。也就是说，我们认为这个人体啊，它就是一个活体，这个人体的不同的结构、不同的组织所发挥的不同的功能，是基于人是一个整体，人是一个活体来实现的。每一条经脉又有皮肤的表面，我们称为叫皮部，再往下细小的络脉，就是肉眼可见的小的血管的部分，还有穿行于筋肉之间的叫做经脉的主干线，以及筋肉系统和骨骼结构。那么这样人体就被划分为12个系统，这12个系统还是一个立体的，由表到里的立体的结构，并且和我们的内脏的组织结构以及功能产生密切的联系，而且这种联系啊，甚至是1对1的联系。当我们把这样一个非常复杂性的，通过上千年总结出来的这种经验构建出来的人体非常完美的医学模型呈现在我们面前的时候，其实我们就有了一个对人体的另外的认识方法啊。我们看待一个人的时候，它就是一个整体。当人体的内脏功能发生变化，它就会在人体的外周出现一些特异性的变化。当我们可以通过找到这些特异性的变化，认识这些特异性的变化，来推测内在功能变化的时候，我们也掌握了去调节人体内在功能变化的金钥匙。在医学科技高速发展的现代，经络系统仍然具备很强的、很好的应用场景，那是因为它对人体的认识不一样。我们刚才说了，它始终把人体看作是一个整体，看作是相互影响的关系，看作是一个活的整体。 举个例子来说，当你的身体出现往右的偏移的时候，可能是因为姿势不当，也可能是因为一定的损伤。这个时候，我们在你右侧的下肢偏外侧的受力会增加，而在左侧的下肢偏内侧的受力也会增加，因为人的身体是一个相互平衡性的代偿。同时，如果你往前的受力增加，那么我们后面的肌肉的力量也会相应的增加。如果这只是短时出现，那么只是一种肌肉的失衡，我们可以通过训练或者通过一些治疗的方法快速恢复。而如果这种问题是长时间出现，那么就会造成我们身体内脏所居的这个环境，我们躯干部位的结构发生偏移。比如说，我们的骨盆会发生偏移，我们的颈椎会代偿性出现问题，于是就会影响到我们内脏的功能，影响到穿行于肌肉之间的神经血管的功能。所以一系列的症状，一系列的疾病就来了。因此，站在经络角度上来看待人体，我们要从平衡的角度上，我们要从整体的角度上去认识人体，认识疾病，往往就会有独特的视角和独特的疗效。这恰恰是现代医学把人体分得越来越细致，但是就忽略了或者解决不掉人体各个系统之间相互联系、出现紊乱而导致诸多症状出现的原因。所以说，用一种独特的视角，用一种独特的思想去看待人体，去看待疾病，可能我们的切入点、我们的治疗方法和我们的疗效的评估方法都会不一样。这恰恰是中医的思维方式，也是中国人的思维方式。那么很多朋友可能会问，我们现在该如何学习经络呢？我们现在在学习经络的过程当中，其实也有很多创新的发展。以前的古人是通过这样一个模型的方式来记忆经脉当中走行的路线，来去学习穴位在哪里，穴位有什么样的作用。但是在现代，我们越来越发现这些经络穴位是和人体的解剖结构，是和人体穴位下面的神经血管组织它的功能是密切相关的。我们把针扎到一个穴位里边去，刺激到哪些部位，是神经，是血管，还是某些特定的结构组织，是改变了人体的结构性的变化，肌肉的张力还是调整了血液循环的状态不同的刺激取得不同的结果，这是我们不断在研究和总结的内容。所以在教学过程当中，我们不仅要不断的去强化和学习古代留给我们非常丰富的经验、临床的经验和一些规律，同时呢，我们也特别注重于和现代医学之间相互交融。比如说，我们现在在学习过程当中，除了用这种模型之外，还可以用虚拟仿真的方式构建一个3维的立体化的虚拟的人体模型。我们可以把一个人体放大，也可以走进人体去看，看它的骨骼，看它的神经，看它的血管。我们去看一看，在一个穴位的下面都有怎样的结构，这些结构如果我们给它适当的刺激，人体会发生什么样的变化，这样的一些变化会引起人体功能性出现怎样的良性的变化，那么这样的良性变化又可以治疗哪些疾病。这种虚拟仿真教学方法的应用，也一定程度上说明了我们的经络学是古代的解剖学，而且是生理解剖学。而基于经络系统的针灸这种治疗方法在现代越来越被更多的国家和民众所接受。我相信针灸未来会在人类的健康当中发挥更为重要、更为广泛的作用。
Okay, that's it. So let me reshare. Okay, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Dr. Chen Kai is an excellent Chinese medicine practitioner and teacher. If you have any particular questions for him, please contact me and let's see if we could discuss with him when he is available. Next, let's welcome Dr. Li Zhi to give us a lecture about the wisdom of traditional Chinese medicine in the classics. Dr. Li Zhi, are you available?
I'm still here to just waiting for everyone. Yeah, it's okay. Everyone can just to see me. It's okay. 首先呢，感谢大家啊。那我们今天呢，跟大家主要谈的是经典里的中医智慧啊。我们知道呢，实际上中医药呢，在治疗很多的历史上的一些疾病，包括比较大的一些传染性的疾病当中呢，都有着很大的和巨大的贡献啊。特别是我们知道的像这个大家知道的疫情的武汉抗疫呢，是发生在我们眼前的一个真实的一个实证啊。那么接下来呢，其实我想谈的是更多的这个我们在中医当中大家认为的这个 wisdom 就是智慧啊，那么到底是怎样体现出来的？大家跟我可以先来看一下。好，just please page down, yeah, next. 首先呢，先跟大家呢浏览一些my photos 一些照片。这些照片呢，主要实际上也是和我们中医在不论是国内呢还是国外的一些推广啊。那么大家可以从这些照片当中呢，简单的看出来，就是我们的中药呢，实际上已经在很多的国家受到了很多的民众的欢迎喜欢还有已经起到了很多的疗效啊。好，OK, please next. 那么先来介绍一下，那么我的老师呢叫施小墨老师啊，大家看见的施金墨呢是老师的父亲，我们尊称为叫施公啊。那么他曾经是这个京城四大名医之一啊，周总理的保健医，曾经为像孙中山冯玉祥杨虎城等等这样的名人出诊。那么我也很有幸和老师呢在中国北京卫视养生堂这个非常受大家欢迎的一档节目当中呢，介绍过很多次有关于施派的用药特色那么接下来呢，我也想呢就这个宝贵的机会，能够以施派的学术传承人的这种身份，简单的介绍一下施派的用药特色，能让大家更好的来去理解我们中医的一些的经典好 ，next please。大家先来看一下，那么在几千年前呢，我们有一本非常有名的中医典籍，叫《黄帝内经》，其中有一个非常有名的4个字叫女七男八就是 woman 7 and man 8，什么意思呢？那么在第一个表格当中，我们可以看到它记载的就是以女性的7的倍数1期、2期、3期、4期，以7的倍数那么来发现一些规律。那么这些规律呢，实际上我们现在医学也在发现我们人到了什么样的年龄容易出现血管的硬化的问题，人到了什么年龄容易出现内分泌失调的问题，人到了什么样的年龄容易出现免疫功能下降的问题。但是实际上我们的古人从另外一个角度，也就是中医从另外一个角度告诉大家，如果作为自己非常简单的这种样的了解，那么我们可以用一个年龄除以倍数，女性呢就是除以7。比如说以我为例我今年是45岁，那就是45除以7那么大家可以来看一下，接近于谁呢？接近于6、7、42和7、7、49之间。所以我会出现3阳脉衰于上，就是更多的气血由于到达不了我的头发脸上，所以我开始出现了皱纹，我开始出现了白发那么这样的情况呢，在接下来到49岁的时候会更加的明显，会出现了这个气血的衰弱那么激素的失调卵巢的这个功能的下降还有更年期的到来。所以我们可以从这个女7两个字，就是 woman 7这2个汉字， 就可以看出来古人对一种规律，就是 regular 的这样的一个规律的一个探讨。我觉得这是他的 wisdom， 这是他的一个很大的一个智慧。当然，同样same example， 男性那么体现的就是 man 8它也体现1个8、2八、3八、4八、5八。那么通过男性对于年龄除以8，他也可以看到自己身体的状况和未来可能出现的情况。这样其实对于指导我们对于自己身体的一些未来的疾病和现在身体的状况有很大的一个参考那么我们把这个也称之为叫做 wisdom 智慧OK, next please.
咱们这个是有往后的延迟吗？因为好像每次我发完之后要等好久，是不是才能出来？
估计是可能有一个延迟OK, please look at this picture. 就是大家看一下这一张。那么这一张呢，就是我们以诗派的这个角度来给大家奉献的一个方子。那么它源于我的老师的父亲，就是施金墨老先生 ，Professor 施金墨。那么他的这个方子很有意思，为什么呢？大家可以来看一下，我们现代医学Western medicine 现代医学吃药的时候，我们一般是强调吃一个药呢维持24小时。那么实际上对于我们很多的学医的学生知道，我们身体是有一个叫自主神经自主神经，它分为交感和副交感。那么在这一套 system 当中，我们的交感呢会升高我们的心率升高我们的血压强调我们的应急反应减弱我们的这个消化去强调一种应急的状态。那么我们的副交感呢，更多的强调的是一种休息的，比如说强调我们的消化，强调我们的心情的更好，强调我们的一种放松，强调我们的一种睡眠。那我们知道，人体如果这一套系统的2个方面出了紊乱，我们将会出现白天的这种状态的下降，晚上的亢奋就会造成 insomnia。所以中医在调整的过程当中，其实对于这种 balance 的调整是非常非常在意的。我们现在很多人可能在这个 B ultrasound 的 B 超X-ray 或者 CT 这个 scan 等等那么 MRI scan 就是这些 CT 核磁 B 超等等，发现它的可能这些 organs is normal， 但是它的功能 function is unbalanced。所以实际上中医就是通过像这样很多的中药，比如说我们的这个方子就叫抗衰老对方。那么这个实际上现在也已经把这个方子献给了国家做成了药物，每个老百姓都可以在吃的一种prepared 的这种的药物，就是一种成药叫做玉品。我们可以看一下，它是分成白天吃一个方子一种药，晚上再吃另外一个。那么白天吃的叫益肾强身方，晚上吃的叫防衰益寿方。我们也可以理解，它其实是更多的通过白天调整我们的一个方面，晚上调整一个方面，让白天和晚上达到一种平衡。那么这样的话，实际上可以更好的来去达到一种健康。那么这样的一个健康，实际上是一个身和心体就是我们现在强调的一个 functions， 还有一个是一种实质性的这样的一个这种疾病的一种调整那我们中医实际上在治疗很多疾病的时候，我们知道它分为5脏就是心 heart、肝 liver、脾 spleen、肾 kidney 还有我们说的 lung 肺。但实际上它代表了 many system， 它可能include immune system， 可能包括了这个像我们说的vascular cardio system 心血管的系统，它包括很多的系统。所以中医在治疗比如说心heart 的时候，实际上它调整的跟睡眠有关系，跟内分泌有关系，跟我们的心血管有关系跟我们的血液有关系。所以大家会更好的来去理解中医通过5脏5个脏腑与它相关的更多的系统，那么去网络更多的一些相关联的 herbal medicine 一些中药，然后用这些的系统再去缩小关联它相关的这样的一些脏腑。比如说在西医当中治一个感冒 catch cold is easy so easy，但是我们认为 why you are so easily to catch cold because your immune system is lower so improve your immune system 加强您的免疫力 why you will easily get the catch cold 还有可能跟你的 kidney 也就是我们说的 immune system 那么有关系，还有可能跟您的这个饮食，比如说cold food sweet food 跟你的一些 habit 有关系。所以我们生活中会发现，爱吃甜的和凉的，往往会引起来呼吸系统的，比如说咳嗽cough， 比如说哮喘呀还有一些这个我们说的一些容易感冒等等。所以中医呢，实际上是把它的饮食 food， 把它的一些 habit 习惯，还有它的一些的状态，通过一些更直接的5个系统那么心肝脾肺肾调整过来，然后再通过这样的药物再做调整，就能够达到一个立体化的一个全方位的，从饮食、从生活、从习惯，那么达到一种平衡。这种平衡一旦建立的话，那么它将对外界的无论是病毒 virus 还是 bacteria 还是它的一些其他的因素 factor， 那么都会起到一个很好的 strong immunity system， 这是中医所特别强调的。所以我的老师的这个方子呢，就用了79味中药。那么具体的中药我们不介绍了，只是通过这样的一个介绍告诉大家，其实中医也有自己的关于时间，有自己的一些关于这些药物属性，最终归属于相互之间的一个关联性彼此之间的一个关联性，时间的关联性，季节的关联性，味道的关联性还有习惯的关联性等等等等。那么它是一个全面的一个 adjust 的这样的一个方法那么我们也希望跟大家来共享这样的一个就是最高的这样的一个治疗疾病的就是 balance 因为我们其实在everyone has just belongs to the nature 属于自然，所以会有很多的东西需要我们共处共同相处，达到一种 balance 包括我们肠道的细菌，包括我们跟大自然的病菌达到一种 balance， 那么我们的健康才会有一种长久。好，谢谢。
谢谢李志老师。Thanks, Dr. Li Zhi, for giving us such informative talk. For other speakers, if you can use English, we will just encourage to use English because we're not sure if we have Americans or other foreigners in the audience that couldn't understand Chinese. Okay, so thanks again for Dr. Li Zhi. So our next speaker will be Dr. Wang Xiuqing, and she will give us a lecture about patient cases where traditional Chinese medicine has its unique advantages.
Hi, can everyone hear my talk?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Actually, thank you for giving me this chance to share some of my cases and my research. We need to produce evidence with the current medicine, the principle of science. So please move to the next slide. I currently am doing a research about insomnia using the combinative method of Western medicine and Chinese medicine. This is actually a real study that I got financed from the province Bureau for Chinese medicine. This study, I just want to, to do clinical research to produce the evidence to show whether Chinese medicine is really effective for insomnia by using the Western medicine evaluation method. At the same time, I want to study on if there is a correlation between the Western medicine, the theory of circadian rhythm, or we say biological clock, and the theory of Chinese medicine for treating insomnia. So I think everyone knows the theory of circadian, knows biological clock. Please, next slide. In Chinese medicine, we believe that the Huangdi Neijing says that the physiology of sleeping is that at daytime the yang qi goes out from the yin, and at night the yang qi will goes into the yin. So then people will fall into sleep. Then, so the pathogenesis of insomnia is there is disharmony between yin and the yang. There is a disharmony between the yang qi and the wei qi. Yeah, that is yang and yin. So that is the understanding of Chinese medicine for insomnia. So yin and the yang, that is the key for insomnia for Western medicine. Yin and the yang is something really, similar to like a biological clock or the circadian. So I want to just want to study whether there is any correlation between them. And the former slide, if please, Ms. Wu, to turn to the former slide. That the former slide shows that we have did some investigation. There is already some investigator to see, did some research to see that there is Chinese medicine treatment for insomnia. It can improve the level of melatonin in the patients. We know melatonin is quite closely related to the biological clock and the circadian rhythm. So please move to the next slide. Next one. Yeah, next please. And this slide shows that my former study, it's a real world study just to show to use herbal medicine to treat insomnia. And so there are almost about 50 patients enrolled. And the study result shows that by evaluating by the Western standard, the Pittsburgh sleeping scale, that there is, quite a difference before the treatment and after the treatment. Of course, in this real world study, we didn't have Western medicine control. And it is very, very proud or very glad of me is that after study, what we found that there are several cases of patients. They use the sleeping pills, the hypnotics, for several years, or even they use several kinds of sleeping pills, including those you can see some 艾司唑仑、奥氮平、氯硝 and essential. And some of them stopped using the sleeping pills, and some of them decreased the amount or decreased the quantity of the sleeping pills. So that is a very, very special advantage of Chinese medicine. So this is the former study. So please move to the next slide. This slide shows that the current study that I'm all using the control of Western medicine. There are about 200 patients enrolled, and there is inclusion/exclusion criteria, and half them will go to the Western medicine using the Western medicine standard drug, and also some psychological guidance. The Chinese medicine group, we just use in Chinese medicine, and then we use the same standard to evaluate. We even have blinding evaluation. So that is the current study. So to summarize my presentation is that I think from my clinical experience that Chinese medicine really works in clinic. But whether they really work, we need to have like the evidence that is well accepted by the Western medicine. So that is the key of my presentation. And I'm looking forward for any collaboration for research on Western Chinese medicine and also collaboration for clinical research. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wang.
Thank you, Dr. Wan. So originally, Dr. Xu was scheduled to be our next speaker, but he just had an emergency call from the hospital, so he has to rush back to take care of his patients right now. So we will skip him for now, and if he can come back in time, so we will have him do the presentation. So now let's welcome Dr. James Flowers to give us the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Kelly.
Just the talk, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the invitation. And so I think I'll keep this to about 10 minutes, and I didn't prepare a visual slides show, so I will just speak because that's what you asked me to do. So
yeah.
First I will, probably I'll keep it to 3 small parts. One, I'll introduce myself so you know who I am. Then I'll talk about Chinese medicine at Johns Hopkins, and then I'll talk about where I think we could be headed in the immediate and long-term future. But first, I want to give a shout out to you guys. So Wendy and Kelly, and I don't know who's out there, maybe Ozerzi and Joshua and Gavin and Noah, Cece. I'm pretty sure Cece's there. So why I'm saying that is because I'm not sure if people are aware that this is a group of students from Johns Hopkins University, mostly pre-med students, undergraduates who are super, super busy, because if anyone knows anything about Hopkins, Hopkins kills its students with the amount of work. They are so busy, but they still thought it important enough to organize a Chinese medicine club and organize this symposium. So I really need to give a shout out to those guys. And I'm not saying that just to praise you. I think it's really significant for Chinese medicine, and I'll talk about that in about 5 minutes. But first, let me introduce myself and how we got to where we are today. So so I was born in Singapore, grew up in Australia, and then I was not very young. Probably in my 20s, I decided I will, because first I didn't know what I wanted to do. Then in my 20s, I decided I wanted to be a Chinese medicine doctor. So I did, and I trained in Sydney, Australia. Then I trained in Shanghai for just under a year at Shanghai Shuguang Hospital. And then when I came back to Australia, I set up my own clinic in Sydney, Chinatown. So if anyone's been to Sydney, Chinatown, you'll know there are a lot of Chinese clinics there, probably about 50 Chinese clinics, but I was crazy. I thought I'll set up a clinic there too, amongst those 50 Chinese clinics. And well, I worked there for 15 years and had obviously many patients. And so during that time, I also taught Chinese medicine at Western Sydney University and at the Sydney Institute of Traditional Chinese Medicine, which means I'm very familiar with teaching Chinese medicine outside of China, and I understand the issues regarding Chinese medicine in the Western world and in the world in general. Also, I was the president of the Australian Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine Association for 9 years. What does that mean? That means I was very involved in the profession in Australia, also in the world. So I went to dozens and dozens of international conferences, and so I met people from all over the world. So I have a good idea of what's going on with Chinese medicine. So I was involved in campaigning for Chinese medicine doctors in Australia to get registered. So just to let people know, in 2012 in Australia, Chinese medicine practitioners became doctors, so they are professionals. So basically they are in the system. So that's quite an achievement, but at exactly that same time, I decided it's not enough. And I was really worried about how we can establish Chinese medicine's place in the world. And so luckily, or not luckily, I'm not sure how I ended up via Beijing for a while, then via Korea, and finally I ended up in Johns Hopkins. So I really want to give a shout out to Johns Hopkins, because who was I? I was a crazy guy who just knew Chinese medicine. I didn't know anything else. And they took a chance and recruited me, which is really weird, I think, that they recruited me. And because I was not really qualified in academic terms. And so what I found is that Johns Hopkins is the home of Western biomedicine. It is ground zero for Western medicine in the world. I'm not sure if you know that in 1912, the Flexner Report in the US said every hospital, every university of medicine needs to follow Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins is the model. So it is super, super scientific at Johns Hopkins. But at the same time, they're very open to Chinese medicine. But I was surprised. So I was in Johns Hopkins for 8 years, and not once ever did people look down on me as a Chinese medicine doctor. And that you can't say that for other countries. In Australia, most Western medicine doctors, they like to look down on us, and which is really weird. I used to fight with them in Australia, but in the US, I didn't need to fight. So where did I go from there? So the idea that I had was that we need humanities scholars to explain Chinese medicine in a better way. What do I mean by humanities scholars? I mean by history, anthropology. So we have people who can articulate what we're trying to do in a language that people can understand in the academic world. So that was my motivation. And yeah, so things are happening. And during that time, I started teaching. So I taught for 3 years. I taught a Chinese medicine class, and I also taught a writing class. And so in the writing class, we discussed medicine in general and Chinese medicine. So what I want to say next is that then I was really astonished and shocked that how wonderful the reception was from the students. So probably you're not surprised if Chinese students from China, they like Chinese medicine, but it's not only Chinese, there are people from all cultural backgrounds who, when they came to my class, were really excited by Chinese medicine. And these people are mainly really, really scientific type of students, really, really hardcore science people. But so I was really excited because it showed to me the potential for what we can do in the future. So it showed the potential for the generation like Kelly, Wendy, Oza, Cece, people like that, because they're very young now. So I'm hoping that in 10, 20 years time, you'll see them in leadership, in explaining to the world that, well, medicine doesn't have to be either Chinese or Western. We can work together, right? So that's my real vision. And when we've had an idea of setting up a club, our first meeting was in my little office in Johns Hopkins University, in the building that you saw in the video at the beginning. In the first meeting we had, the room was really full. I even couldn't sit down. So I was really shocked again. And then I had to leave Hopkins because of COVID. I couldn't get a visa because Trump was a really weird guy. Sorry to talk politics. But anyway, I had to leave. So I'm in Korea now. But in Korea, I don't need to persuade everyone. Everyone believes in traditional medicine. I mean, it's just a culture, right? I mean, maybe even more than in China. People really just accept acupuncture, herbs. So I don't have to argue with anyone. So I don't have to persuade anyone. So anyway, but I'll keep doing my work. And my final point is that when Wendy was in my class, it was exactly when COVID started in first started out in early 2020. And I remember Cece, who's probably in the audience, Cece came to class in a mask. So she was the first person I saw in a mask. In that time, people really didn't know what was going to happen. But, and this comes to my final point. My final point is that with COVID, I mean, it's been such a major disaster in the world that if we're having a medical seminar, we must talk about that. And we must talk about this is the time when Chinese medicine, East Asian medicine must stand up. If we don't stand up now, when will we? Because clearly Western medicine has no tools to deal with COVID. It's very clear. The best medicines that Western medicine has can just alleviate symptoms. You can put people on intubation, and that's about it. And you can give steroids, but steroids are not that good. And so I'm convinced, no one needs to convince me that a medicine like herbal medicine, Chinese herbal medicine, East Asian herbal medicine can do many, many good things and can save many people's lives. So the big challenge for the next few years will be how we enter into the discourse, into the discussion, into the debate about how we can treat the millions and millions of long COVID patients that we will have, because COVID will stay here for the next few years, and there will be many long COVID patients. And then I am absolutely convinced that Western medicine has zero answers for long COVID, zero. Maybe I'm being too emotional, but maybe minimal effect. And I'm absolutely convinced that Chinese medicine will have major effects, major benefits. Why? Because we work on patients as individuals. As individuals, we don't treat patients for a disease. We treat patients for their individual status, their individual condition. So therefore, we assess their balance, and therefore, we can treat people one by one and look after them long term. And why do I also say that? I can go back to my own clinical experience, and I'm not a scientist, but I can boast. I shouldn't boast, but I used to go around saying that, give me any flu patient, I will definitely cure any flu patient. And that is not COVID, absolutely not COVID. But I have a lot of experience in treating so many types of flu patients when Western medicine cannot really treat flu. What do you do? Just give some antihistamines or some kind of weird anti-inflammatories. We can treat flu in Chinese medicine. So that's just to give an example. So it's the time. So it is the time when we need to raise our voice. And for me, I think we need humanities voices. So people who've trained in scholarship in humanities, because scientists are scientists, and all respect to the people, my fellow panelists, but scientists are not, scientists are scientists, you're not trained in humanities. So, and that's, well, I'm arguing that's what we need. And clinicians, doctors are doctors, and doctors are not necessarily the people who can talk to the communities in the world community. So in the end, basically what I'm saying is that change needs to come from the bottom, from being culturally attractive and talking to people in communities, and not just relying on governments to do everything. If you rely on governments to do something, you'll wait forever, for 1,000 years. We don't wait for governments to do things, we do things ourselves. And that's why I give full credit to Kelly, Wendy, and all the gang, Ozer, and everyone. Again, I keep on repeating that, but I'm emphasizing the significance of this event is not minor, it's really significant that there is a group who feel concerned enough. I don't see Yale, I don't see Harvard, I don't see Princeton, I don't see Stanford doing a Chinese medicine group. So in historical terms, Hopkins was always the first to do something in medicine. So I will say it again, Hopkins is the first to do something in Chinese medicine. So I think if you guys keep going, you can do really great things. I really mean that. So I put my hopes in you because I'm older. So it's up to you guys in the young generation. So us older people can help and advise, but you guys have to do it, and you've got the tools. And so again, I repeat, you don't wait for governments to do things. You can do things yourself, because because you guys are in Hopkins, you know that all the professors who teach science, they're so busy. They're busy. They don't have time to think about, oh, does Chinese medicine good or not? Is it good? How? They're not going to have time to read some Chinese medicine report. They're so busy. So don't wait for them. Just do it yourself, right? Yeah. Is that my 10 minutes?
Yeah, you can go on if you like. Yeah.
They're my main thoughts. I did write some other things down. What else? Yeah. So science is science, and is science incompatible with Chinese medicine? And as Professor Chung Kai talked about, we don't need to always think of Western medicine and Chinese medicine as separate. They can work together. So I think that's the whole point of this summit, working together. And my professor in Johns Hopkins, I'm not sure if she's here, but Marta Hansen, she talked of a term called medical bilingualism. That means we talk in different languages. So we have the scientific language, but we also have the Chinese medicine language. And they don't need to be opposite. They can work together. So I can speak for one more minute.
I mean, yeah. If you have anything else to share, we
No, I think
can.
I've made my main points. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thanks for the time. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your amazing talk, Dr. Flowers.
It's been amazing.
It is. We were really happy that you remember all of us, and I'm sure like all of the other club members are out there, and you also remember all the details, how the club started. And I also feel really lucky that Johns Hopkins brought all of us together, brought like you and all of the club students in the club together in the class. And thank you for your nice words. And we really miss you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so I hope that everyone enjoyed the talks from our guest speakers, and I think we can now move on to the roundtable discussions. So we collected the questions from many students who are traditional medicine enthusiasts like us. And I bet everyone's very excited to hear the response from our guest speakers. And note that since our guests today have various specialties and background, please feel free to respond to the ones that you are interested in and feel comfortable to share with us. And Dr. Flowers just like talked about the role of traditional Chinese medicine in like treating COVID, in flu, how Chinese medicine like treat patients as individuals instead of disease. So I think we do like have a question prepared in a roundtable question slides that's related to like COVID and traditional medicine. So Wendy, would you think we can like start with that question?
Yeah, sure. So the question is more about government policy, especially Chinese government policy towards traditional Chinese medicine after COVID, because we know there's a lot of famous medicine like 莲花清瘟胶囊, which we have discussed about it in a previous guest lecture talk in our club. So definitely there are much more other traditional Chinese medicine practices that help save a lot of lives during COVID. So I think our first question can just to welcome the speakers to share their experience and perspectives of how traditional Chinese medicine really helped treat COVID in the previous year.
Yeah, sounds good.
If any of the speakers have anything to say, just unmute yourself and join the discussion. It's supposed to be a very casual interaction.
Okay, so if no one else wants to speak first, I can speak first. Can I speak first?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So because I'm in Korea, so I actually wrote an article that's just going to publication soon about how Korean medicine doctors treated COVID patients in 2020. So it's a very interesting story where the Korean government, so obviously in January 2020, COVID was very serious in Korea. People were really panicked. And so the government decided that only Western medicine can treat COVID patients. They actually made a law. They decided, they made a policy. And then clearly the Korean medicine is very big, or traditional medicine is very, very big in Korea. It's almost the same as Western medicine in status, and there are Korean medicine clinics everywhere, like in hospitals. It's very, very serious. So of course the Korean medicine doctors were very angry. So they campaigned and lobbied to ask the government that they can treat the COVID patients. The government kind of agreed, but they said only by telemedicine. So they could speak to, first they used phone and then the screen on Zoom. But so during the height of the panic last year, about 20% of patients they could choose, and they chose Korean traditional medicine like herbal medicine, and all of, I think most of them recovered. So it's a similar story to China. Obviously, we've heard all the stories from China, but it's a very concrete case where the herbal formulas, they treated the patients successfully. So in the beginning, the Korean doctors used those formulations, but as time went on, they decided to use more individual medications. So actually, they used a whole range of individualized prescriptions. So, and this was all done voluntarily. So the doctors volunteered. They didn't get paid, and they had to pay, and they gave the medicine free to all the patients. So 20% of the COVID patients got free medicine. The doctors donated their services. So it's just an interesting story. So it's a lot of evidence that traditional medicine can really help. Okay, I'm talking too much.
No, it's not. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion. Dr. Wang and Dr. Li, do you have any ideas on how, for example, Chinese medicine has been treating patients during COVID time?
Yeah, maybe I just can share something what I learned in the COVID-19 epidemic last year, in particular in China. I myself haven't participated in any treatment of the Chinese medicine for COVID-19 because that time, most cases in Wuhan. And but I paid attention to this the issue that some researchers in those time they did some research for like Chinese medicine for COVID-19 because as I said before that whether Chinese medicine is effective for COVID-19 we need to have like evidence. So some research finally says that there is some data to say by using Chinese medicine, it can, decrease the number of patients getting to the severe case, the rate of the patients becoming severe case of COVID-19, the critical case. And it helps to improve the outcome. So there is some data for that, but me myself don't have my real experience for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I've been following there are many patients in the West who turn to Chinese medicine for COVID. And for example, in Harvard, there are professors working on COVID in Harvard, just one or two professors, and there are various clinics that specifically treat COVID patients. And somehow they always report success in their treatments. But who knows? They always tell everyone, yeah, they all got better, but I don't know. But that's what people tell us.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just being curious, when those Western countries people, they want to turn to Chinese medicine, what's their source for getting those either herbs or like 中成药, like those 胶囊? I'm not sure like where we can get those because normally I just bought them from the pharmacies, but I'm supposing like CVS pharmacy don't sell traditional Chinese
No
medicine.
way. No, you can't buy them over the counter in the US, or maybe you can in Australia, I'm not sure, but in the US you cannot. So what the doctors that I hear from, I've been watching lots of Zooms and talking to lots of colleagues, and they make their own formulations. So maybe in the beginning, like 1 year ago, they would use the Chinese formulations, but people have moved on. They can make their own formulations that are similar, different. But the thing is that people all have different opinions. That no one can agree, because COVID is very confusing. So the problem in China, right? Because China claimed or said that COVID is more or less not existing in China anymore for a long time. And so COVID obviously is outside. And that's the irony, that now Chinese medicine doctors in China are not getting experience, but all the Chinese medicine doctors outside are getting a lot of experience. But they all report that it's very, very confusing. It's very confusing. It's nothing like they saw before. So I can't claim that I treated COVID, of course not, but that's what I hear from all the people, and they can't agree on the type of medicine. And if you look at the social media, they're always arguing about what is the best medicine. Yeah, but that's the exciting thing about Chinese medicine, that it is not exactly one thing, right? It is multiple things, and that we individualize the patients always, or we should. I think Dr. Li is going to speak. Okay, I'll shut up.
Thank you, Dr. Flowers. Yeah, Dr. Li, I saw you turn on your camera. Would you like to share something with us?
Yes, I just want to tell some opinions about myself. You know, just in this the global illness, you know, it's very severe. So everybody knows at the beginning of this illness, a lot of the symptom is maybe around the respiration, the system, like the breathing, the heart, like the oxygen, so the percentage is very lower, and so on. So step by step, we found a lot of the patients, they get the problems about the gastrointestinal system, maybe for the diarrhea, maybe for the other symptom. So a lot of people are very confused. Respiratory the system, so we call it the breathing system. Why is has to corresponding or irritated with the gastrointestinal, or just corresponding to the diarrhea, the symptom? They are the different system, but in traditional Chinese medicine, they are the good couple. Why we will call it the good couple? You know, we have in old Chinese saying is 肺与大肠相表里. What's meaning? What's meaning of this sentence? So there is many years ago, the ancient people tell us the lung. The lung means the breathing system, and the large intestine means in that digestive the system is very close shape. So just in this we use herbal medicines. A lot of the medicines is for the adjust the balance. You know, there is a lot of the inflammation, the factor, many for the white blood cell and IL-1, IL-6, IL-10, and TNF, a lot of the inflammation factors. So they are like the vital. So in our human bodies, so they like the idioms, a lot of the breathe hard, a lot of the system. So we call that the very hard, the inflammation factor. How could you add? So means hormone means the hormone can just resist this inflammation factor. So, but in traditional Chinese medicine, we use a lot of the herbal medicines for Lianhua Qingwen and so on, the others, the herbal medicines. We found that they have the effect of to anti the inflammation, the factor. So they can reduce a lot of the symptoms for the breathe hard and so on, and so for the diarrhea and others. So we think that is maybe the mechanism we hope to get the further in the research about it. So just in clinic, the effect, they have the good effect. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Li. In fact, my research in the previous year is about inflammatory factors, those interleukins that you just mentioned. So it's really very interesting subject. So we just mentioned there are many different symptoms of COVID. And actually, for overseas students like us, we could have a lot of other more commonly distributed diseases, like when we get a stomachache or when we eat something unhealthy. So I see Trent asked a question in the Q&A session that traditional Chinese medicine is very focused on eating and 养生, the concept of 养生. So Trent is just curious how we could keep healthy through regulating eating, like food or other herbs, I think, and other traditional Chinese medicine practices that could keep us healthy when we're overseas. So yeah, let's just answer this question first.
Yeah, so I just clicked add answer live so that like everyone can, like including our attendees, can see the question that Trent asked.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah,
go.
That's just about the how to protect the human body to improve the immune system. I think that how to say, I think it's not so hard. So especially for the students. So they are just abroad. They cannot just to come back. So that everybody, especially they learn the how to see. So the good habit, the good life habit. I think that the nice fried chicken. I think that not so a lot of the sweet the drink. I think that not so much the cold of the food, ice cream and so on the others. So just according to the TCM, so the food is moderate, not so much, and not so cold, and not so sweat, not so oil, not so much the fried. So because if you can just to take the research, if we take a lot of the fried oil, the cold, the sweet food, maybe there is improve a lot of the inflammation factor. Inflammation factor, you know, a lot of the disease has related with the inflammation the factor. If the food can inflammation, so inflammation the factor in TCM or in Chinese, the sentence is 上火,上火,上火 means inflammation. Inflammation maybe the toothache, inflammation means the headache, inflammation means the insomnia, means you are irritable, the others. So we know that, so the less the oil, the food, fried the food, sweet the food, so cold the food, that is the best to your improve the immune system. That is for the eating. And for the sleep, we think so, because to keep the enough the sleeping the time, I think that you can.
Okay, maybe I can
So a lot of the worried, a lot of the to watching. Yes, okay, okay.
Okay, maybe I can share my my opinion. Because I also said I'm working in clinic, specialized in using Chinese medicine for patients with digestive problems, diseases. Yeah, we see a lot of patients with functional digestive disorder, gastritis, superficial gastritis, enteritis. Many patients. So for you, younger, girls and boys in the United States, we are Chinese. So how to have a healthy, food style to make to keep healthy and maintain health. I think from Chinese saying is that 一方水土养一方人. The white people in, for example, in Chengdu and in Chongqing in South Asia, they like hot food because those area people, it's very humid, so people need to take some hot and spicy food to make sweating, to make too much water come out from the body. And the people in the cold area, they like to take sheep, cow, and milk to make them strong to prevent cold and wind in those bad weather. So that is from Chinese medicine. And from current modern medicine, I think because people, Chinese people, Western people, and Asian people, their genetic code is different. So that there is some underlying to have some difference between the eating habit of Western people and Chinese people. So my opinion is that Chinese, the Huangdi Neijing says that for Chinese people, we say 五谷为养，五果为助，五畜为益，五菜为葱. That means it's better for us to take more grains like the rice, wheat, these things. And then the fruits should be only supplementary. Means like if we take 90% of them are fruits, I don't agree. I don't agree personally, because in clinic we can see, some patients take too much fruit that is cold in nature, make people, in particular girls, they may have like, dysmenorrhea or something. And of course, also the livestock, the meat, and the vegetable, they kind of supplementary. So that is one thing for Chinese people. I think better more grains, more rye and wheat. Of course, when you come to US, you don't have, it's every day you eat hamburger, you eat, fried potato. Yeah, but better, I think that's helpful for your health. Secondly, is that Chinese medicine says that spleen is quite close related to liver. Because if liver qi stagnation is going to attack spleen to make you digestion irregular or not functioning. So that is we see there are patients they are in they are in high pressure, their anxiety, they will have anxiety, they will have digestive problems. So my second suggestion is that even though you have heavy study burden, you have some anxiety in the foreign country, but to make yourself a little bit psychologically or emotionally smoothful, that is helpful for your digestion. Thank you.
Can I just quickly add 1 minute?
Yes.
Yeah, so because I was in Hopkins for a long time, I saw that many undergrad students, you stay up really late to study and then you get up late. I don't know about you, but a lot of people, then they suddenly come to class at 9 o'clock, but they didn't have breakfast because they didn't have time. So don't skip breakfast because breakfast is important. So you got to have like maybe Joe or like, and then eat something. And that's weird. Like you have skip breakfast and then you have a little bite at lunch and then maybe have a huge dinner. And that's really not good. And so basically you need to live a balanced lifestyle and make sure you get enough sleep. And I say that to Hopkins students because many of you really don't get enough sleep. I mean, you can eat all the right foods and then if you're not getting sleep, what is no use? What is that for? You're just ruining your health. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely agree on that. Yeah, because like I always like work up late at night and I woke up like really tired after like only 5 or 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah, you used to come into class tired.
Really? I didn't know. Okay, so speaking of sleeping, actually one of our attendees asked a question. So like, is there any difference like falling asleep, like starting to sleep in the morning or at night? Because they said that he or she sometimes like feels sleepy in the morning and can like fall asleep really well, and it's hard like for them to fall asleep at night because they think that maybe they're a night person and they like work really efficiently at night and they're like really focused at night. So if we say that like everyone should have like regular sleeping patterns, for example, like 7 or 8 hours of sleep, like is it okay for them to like wake up at like afternoon or night but fall asleep in the morning? Would that be like harmful to our body?
Yeah, it's harmful according to Huangdi Neijing. I mean, Dr. Li and Dr. Wang, you know that in Huangdi Neijing, it says we should sleep at a certain time. And the explanation is that yang, we stay awake and active during yang time of the day, which is daytime, where it's sunlight, and nighttime is yin. So our bodies naturally calm down and slow down. Even from Western medicine, our bodies slow down and get cooler. So we should rest in that time. And if we go against that natural pattern, you're going to cause damage to your health. And when you think you're young, you think, don't worry, I'm young, I can do that and I can push through, but actually you make your life shorter probably. You shouldn't do that. You should sleep at the right time. So in Chinese, say, 不能熬夜, right?
Yeah. Don't stay up late.
Yeah. So if you want to do more work, just go to bed early and then wake up a little bit early. It's better for your health.
That's true. Because my parents always say like 日出而作，日落而息. So you should like wake up when the sunrise sets and go to sleep when the sun sets.
Yeah, your parents are
Yeah.
very wise.
Oh, really? Yeah.
They
I mean, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, we should.
To add on that, because I think for this anonymous attendee, one point that is particularly maybe the cause for him or her to sleep in the morning is because it's hard for him to sleep at night. So that is, I think it's very common insomnia to happen nowadays among teenagers. And in fact, I was suffering from insomnia for like several months, 2 years.
你得看中医，你得
Years
看
ago.
中医大夫。
Yeah, and I went
中医是个
to Chinese medicine doctor, and I'm completely recovered from that.
Yeah,
now,
you're very
chemo.
wise.
Yeah, of eating herbal medicine. So I'm actually a real benefiter from PCM in this aspect. And I believe Dr. Wang had done some research about teenager insomnia. So I would
Oh.
very much like to hear her sharing experience about this.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, actually, I just studied this topic insomnia in recent 2 years because I told you before in my slides, I mostly major in digestive problem. But Chinese medicine says that there is one theory, means 胃不和则卧不安, means some patients, they have the digestive problems. They can't sleep well. They have insomnia. So in my clinical work, I found, yeah, really, there are some patients like that. And after treating with herbal medicine, we know that Chinese medicine, the one of the special feature is like 整体论治, means treating a patient like a whole instead of treating stomach for gastritis, treating the brain for the insomnia. So we are treating him like a whole. So after treating the intestinal problem, then the insomnia also improves. So that make me fear there is area for research, and also there is a chance that we had a chance to meet the 2017 Nobel Prize Professor Rose Bash, and I discussed with my colleague. Actually, it's Wendy's mother, Professor Wang Ningning. She's also interested. Yeah, yeah, Professor. Yeah, Wang Ningning. I mean, Wendy's mom is very famous physician scientist in my hospital.
Oh,
and
she's famous?
she, yeah, she encouraged me to do something in this area because, like we said, insomnia is very common and a problem for all people, all age, After that, we did some research and clinical work for that, and our preliminary data has been shown in my slides. It's really effective, for some patients. And in particular, the special advantage is that because we know for Western medicine, the problem is that we are worried about the side effect of the sleeping pills. They're going to make you, some side effect, and you are going to dependent on that drug for a long time. And I have a colleague in the neurological department. She says that my choice is that giving the patient more and more higher and higher dose of sleeping pills. But my advantage is that for some patients, they can decrease the amount of the dosage of the sleeping pills. And even some of them, they can quit the sleeping pills. But of course, we didn't need more evidence for that. So some of my cases, I do encounter some cases of the teenager. For example, I remember that I have a girl. She is like is in the third grade in the middle school. She came to me 2 years ago in I think it's in July, and she has, nightmare, those dreams that is terrible every day. She cannot sleep, and she even at daytime she cannot, do some work, do some study. Her mother bring her to me, and she, the mother worries that because he's going to have like the dream for that summer vacation. But she asked me to give her like the diagnosis that she cannot go there. And I prescribed only 7 decoction for her. And later she didn't come. And then, but I have the number of that girl. And I called her someday, and her mother told me she recovers very well, very good. Not only, recovers, but she goes to Junxun, that is out of the expectation of the mother. So that is the case. That is the one case. The other case is that I have a boy. He actually he's doing very outstanding in the school. He's going to go to the college and university in this in this autumn. She's like the monitor, we say, in the class, and her mother and the grandmother bring him to me. I think that is about 2 or 3 years ago. And at that time, he feels palpitation, very quick heart rate. And he also has like, he feels something in the throat. He cannot swallow it. He cannot spew out, like we say Chinese medicine, 没和气. And he also has problem of the insomnia, and he easily to get, sweating, in particular when he is nervous or anxiety, but he's doing excellent in the school. So I just give him some decoction, and then everything, he received take the decoction for several months and gradually quit it. And I remember early, this because he's going to take the big exam for going to the university in the July or June, I'm not sure. Yeah. So his grandmother come to me several months before. She says that her grandson asked the grandmother come to me to have some decoction, and he says that it's going to make him better condition for this big exam. Of course, he has some, sometimes a little bit headache, sometimes not good sleeping, those things. And he says, the grandmother says that the herbal medicine is like 救命神药 for him, that helps him to do good in the big exam. So that is some cases of the teenage insomnia.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Wang. And we know we've talked a lot about like food, sleeping, physical health, mental health, regarding traditional Chinese medicine. And I see that there's a lot of questions that is coming to the Q&A chat box. And I see that Dr. Flowers is also typing an answer. So so feel free to continue typing. And we'll try to like address everybody's questions. And since we've like talked about like nutrition and mental health for a while now, I think we can move on to another topic that's related to traditional Chinese medicine. I think Wendy mentioned there's one about scientific research. Would you like to prompt that?
There are multiple that is related to scientific research, and I believe most of the audience are also interested in this topic because for most part, like take me, for example, I think TCM really works, but how it works, we don't really know. So that's a very important area to address in order to really let TCM go to the world. So one of the question is very general, but I think it's very interesting. That is how TCM, how could we research on the Qi concept of in TCM? So I believe for some of the previous research, some of them try to explain Qi according to the anatomy, and somehow they couldn't find any anatomy evidence. So I would like to ask the speakers, do you have any suggestions of conducting scientific research on Qi? So Dr. Flowers, do you have any remarks?
Sorry, did I forgot to mute myself?
No one is speaking, but so while my panelists, co-panelists are gathering their thoughts, I can start off. We used to talk about this in our class, that actually I believe the Chinese government has spent millions and millions of Chinese yuan, renminbi and the Korean government also, South Korea and Japan also, they spent millions of hours trying to find qi in animal models, mice, rabbits, all kinds of animals. And then the studies, they always talk about, whoa, they can detect some kind of stimulation or some kind of signaling in the meridians. So they're concerned about Jingluo, right? The acupuncture meridians. And so there are many studies that show there's stimulation in those pathways or the Jingluo. But that does not convince Western scientists, because they think, well, maybe it's just some kind of, well, it's nothing material. So there's no physical structure that people can talk about. So it's kind of a sensation. So my understanding is that's where it is. The North Koreans, they claim they really discovered qi, but they really believe that, they really prove that, but I'm not sure that anyone pays attention to North Korean research. The South Koreans were quite excited there about 10 years ago, but I think in China, no one pays attention to North Korea. North Korean claim they really have the results that they discovered the qi in the claim is that it's in the fascia. You know, the fascia, I'm not sure of the Chinese word, is the fascia, F-A-S-C-I-A. And so they claim it's in those kind of parts of the body. So other people think about lymph. So other kind of research try to work out whether the meridians are related to lymph channels, the lymphatic system, and that's not really going, that's not making us any more clear. So it's a big problem.
I see. I guess we can arrange a journal club about this research.
No one's really discovered qi, really. So that I can just say that.
Okay, so we need to continue working on that part. And another question about scientific research is, has acupuncture used for brain disease such as epilepsy? Does this change being accessed by EEG recording?
Hello, Wendy. Can I say something about the former question about research on Chinese medicine and also Qi?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay. I found that the questions are really interesting, and actually these questions has been studied and by researchers in China for years. There is Chinese the Bureau for Chinese Medicine, the National Bureau for Chinese Medicine. They have like the 10th 5-year plan for research, 11th 5-year plan for research. Many years they have supported research on Chinese medicine. I remember in early years, did some research on Qi. I'm not quite clear, but my understanding is like that we really supported, research on Qi, on channels, collaterals, on yin and yang. What is the essence of yin? What is the essence of yang? But still, so far till today, there is no evidence of what is Qi, what is yin, what is yang. But my opinion is that what is Qi? Even though we don't have evidence for Qi, does that mean that Qi is not existing? But I believe there is Qi because we're using the theory of Qi, blood, yin and yang. This theory to treat patients in clinic, they really works. And Qi, we say there is like the Qi of Qigong. Some people, they really believe that. And there is Qi of the Zhong Qi. We know every Chinese people we know. If the patient is, people is strong, we say 中气很足. Yeah, but the patient is weak. We say okay, 没有中气. Okay, and there is Qi in the 脏腑之气, the spleen Qi, the kidney Qi, the liver Qi. Yeah. Liver Qi stagnation, then the people will have fire, and that is easy to be, to be crowd, to be, to quarrel with people. So really there is Qi. But the thing is that how to study on the Qi, on the issue of Qi. My opinion is that because Chinese medicine and the Western medicine, they are totally different. Different medical theory, different medical practice, even the language in understanding the people, the disease is different. So because they are different, because Western medicine is, is rooted from the modern medicine, it's understanding each other, but Chinese medicine is different. And so it's difficult for Chinese medicine to be interpreted by current, the modern science. So my opinion is that we do what we can do now. Leave those things cannot be explained for the future. Maybe someday. For example, before I saw a kind of news that there is a scientist in Fudan University. He used like the tea, different tea, like the 绿茶, 红茶, different tea to investigate whether the channels and collaterals. They published the paper. Yeah, you can do some search on that. You will understand that research. So that is something we can do now. And also what I do is that though it's different to understand whether the ingredients of the herbal medicine, the mechanism of the qi, xue, yin yang, and like a cold, like warm, but we can use like the Western standards to evaluate whether Chinese medicine works in clinic. For example, the insomnia, we use like the Western medicine, Pittsburgh sleeping scare, the tool to evaluate whether Chinese medicine works for insomnia. We can use pathologic, the examination for evaluate whether Chinese medicine for treating patients of atrophic gastritis, it really works. So that is my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Wang. So you might all notice that we're heading to the end of the summit, and I think we can talk about one last question. So actually there are a whole bunch of questions in the Q&A box, and we don't have enough time to address them live here, but I believe we will be compiling them and answering them afterwards. So you will find the answers to these questions later in the WeChat messages. I believe that's called 公众号推文. So that might be released after 3 days, within 3 days after the summit ended. So let's just head into the closing for this event. First of all, thank you all for attending. And our aim of this summit is to introducing the development and future of TCM to the audience. And since we're China-America Summit, so one of the key aspects is to bringing integrated medicine across the globe. So the final thing I want each speaker to do is to give 1 or 2 sentences of the final remarks that what do you want us, the younger generation, to do in this topic, and then we will head into the end of the summit. Dr. Flowers, do you like to go first?
Oh, so because 1 or 2 sentences. So first, just keep on doing what you're doing, because I thought that when I would leave Hopkins, that the group would just kind of disappear. But so again, I'll just praise you guys for just keeping on going, even though I left. So just keep on doing what you're doing. And second, keep on doing what you're doing. Second, keep practicing your writing skills, because your writing skills really matter, because you need to write because we need to communicate. So to communicate, we need to write well. So that's my comment to you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Flowers. Why don't we move on to Dr. Wang?
Actually, I want to thank you all for organizing this, this webinar, and thank you for all participants interested in the Chinese medicine. And I believe that Chinese medicine not only it's a long history, it's culture, but also it works even today for the patients, for the health of people. So I do hope that you younger generation and the scholars and the students to do some work in this area to build the bridge for Chinese medicine and Western medicine to contribute to the the international collaboration of the two medicine and also for China and the United States. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, Dr. Wang. And let's move on to Dr. Lee.
Yeah, thank you to everyone that
Is there any
system with Western medicines. So I think that the TCM can just to create a lot of the good, for example, the good habit, the good lifestyle, and the good sleep, and a good nutrition, and a collaboration with the different system, the heart, the kidney, spleen. So and also the good sleep. So that if you just interested in traditional Chinese medicine, maybe when you studied, maybe you cannot grasp a lot of the herbal medicines knowledge. but you can that it can improve the immune system. I think that is the experience for the Asian people to tell us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lee. And unfortunately, Dr. Xu couldn't come back in time, but I'm sure we'll work out something with him because I'm sure he has prepared some amazing content and we'll make sure that we'll deliver them to our audiences in some way. So thank you so much, our audience and panelists. So I think we will end with a closing video. So Jojo, would you like to share that with us? Wow, what a beautiful video. Yeah, so Wendy said, if anyone's interested in our Hopkins Asian Medical Club, please email us at this address. And we are very much looking forward to new blood to join us. So thank you so much again, everyone. And I hope you'll have a great evening or morning.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.